Hi, it's Dwyer. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. BettingAngle.us, a free site. Let's pop off a little bit and let's talk about some plays that I'm considering or pursuing right now. But remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, I know there's a lot of disagreement about this in the gambling community, right? I watch VSiN on cable, and they often will talk about how casual bettors fall for the futures market, right? You have some hosts right now on that great channel that criticize gamblers for going for big odds in the futures market. I could not disagree more. Understand, I've bet day to day over the years. I've pursued other strategies over the years. I personally have never found a better bargain than grabbing the futures market while other gamblers are distracted, while the teams that you're betting on are overlooked. Viewers here know that last year, one of my premier plays from early in the season was Brock Purdy, and I'm picking a play that did not win. It was Brock Purdy to win the MVP in the NFL, and he was going off at greater than 20-1 at the time. Right now, just understand, once you get that endowment, you can literally sprinkle a little on others or wait until Brock Purdy disintegrates, knowing that you have Brock Purdy locked in case he wins, so you can then pivot to a Lamar Jackson at great odds, right? You can pivot from Purdy when Purdy falls, and you would know that because you were expecting a certain amount of winnings with Purdy, that you could throw that on the one or two candidates who are still in the running. So last year, Brock Purdy was the front runner to win the MVP on Christmas Day. He lost to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. If you were savvy, you were then able to say, okay, Brock Purdy just got beaten out by Lamar Jackson, who was in the running. You were able to shift over to Lamar Jackson and make a profit. This year, I can tell you, I'll even give you the date. On December 16th of 2023, I was able to throw down some money on Oklahoma City in the NBA, 46-1 to win it all. I don't expect them to win it all, folks. But the point is, they're in play. They're going to be a top 3 seed coming out of the Western Conference, or at least in the Western Conference playoffs, and I'll be able to bet against them, and I'll be able to place substantial money on who's playing them, hopefully in the second round of the playoffs, right? So that, I can make a profit. That same day, December the 16th, I got the Timberwolves, 23-1. Right? Understand, I myself, now that Cat is hurt, don't expect the Timberwolves to come out of the Western Conference. But the point is, now I have an endowment where I can bet against the Timberwolves, again, hopefully in the second round, right? I can bet against the Timberwolves and make a profit should they fall. So I'm a big believer, huge believer, in betting on futures. I, just experience-wise, know that futures have delivered for me. But what I want people to understand is that now is the time, and I'm talking about very early April. It is April the 3rd. Now is the time to grab some futures action in the NFL because everyone's distracted, right? Everyone is looking at basketball. Everyone's looking at baseball right now. That season just started. Football fans are trying to figure out the UFL. Understand, now is the time, before the draft, now is the time to grab teams at great prices. What you'll find out too is that if you're a long-time futures bettor, you realize that you'll never get the best teams at these prices again the rest of the season, unless they suffer major injuries or major drama, right? Someone, the Rashee Rice situation, right? Someone has legal problems. Someone's under investigation. The Ohtani situation in baseball, right? Understand, unless something unusual like that happens or someone gets injured, you're never going to get the odds again that you can get in springtime on elite teams in the NFL. Let's name one: the San Francisco 49ers. Right now, I mentioned Brock Purdy earlier. Understand, the last time Brock Purdy left the field last year, he had a lead in overtime in the Super Bowl. That's how close he came to winning his first title. What I want people to realize too, and I know this is not the way the public sees it, is that Brock Purdy is a math guy, right? He's not a quarterback getting by on athleticism, right? This is a guy reading defenses, looking off the first option and the second option and hitting the third or fourth option. He has a quarterback guru as head coach in Kyle Shanahan. When you see a young guy like this, he's going to scale. Whatever Purdy has done up until this point, and understand, the playoffs featured the Niners coming back in some games. Purdy's going to figure out the lay of the land even more now. Right now, the Niners have situations you need to look at. The Brandon Ayuk situation, where he wants a new contract, that could change things. Understand, Ayuk right now, look at the yards per reception. Ayuk right now is one of the very best wide receivers in the entire league. If he holds out, that's going to hurt the Niners. But you're kidding me if you don't think the Niners at a plus 230 right now to win not the Super Bowl, just the conference. You're kidding me if you don't think that that's a bargain. Right, folks, you have continuity. I understand defensive coordinator Steve Wilks is out. I understand Chase Young is gone, right? But you have continuity on the team, right? Same quarterback, same head coach, same ownership group. You have continuity on the team. You have a track record in recent years of this team competing in the playoffs and playing in Super Bowls. Folks, they've been in so many Super Bowls during the Pat Mahomes era that they've lost to Pat Mahomes multiple times in recent Super Bowls. Right? And you're getting them at a plus 230, knowing that you have a new head coach in Seattle in their division, right? Knowing that Arizona isn't close right now to competing for even the division title, and recognizing that even with an alchemist like Sean McVay, right, and even with promising young guys, the Rams really don't have the horsepower that the Niners have. So right now, in early April, before the draft, I'm not going to stick around for the draft. I don't believe in rookie players that much. Before the draft, I'm grabbing San Francisco right here at a plus 230 just to win the conference. Let me make another point too. Many gamblers betting futures think that they have to pick a team that wins the Super Bowl. Folks, if you play futures right, you have gotten a profit before the Super Bowl. Let's talk about another team that is hopelessly mispriced right now. In my opinion, the way I look at football, football is a quarterback league. I want an elite quarterback who has playoff experience. I want a team with an above average defense and above average offense. Now, it's true, sometimes a team with a slightly below average offense wins. Kansas City last year, right? The real unit with the Chiefs was the defensive unit. That's what carried the team. They, of course, on offense underachieved, but they had a guy named Pat Mahomes as their quarterback, right? A guy going into last year who had won 2 Super Bowls, right? Well, just to understand, right now, I get my pick of the litter at sales prices. I want a team with an above average offense and an above average defense. I want a quarterback with playoff experience. I want an owner who is desperate to win a Super Bowl, not just get NFL checks, but win. I get all of that with the Dallas Cowboys. Folks, the Cowboys right now are a plus 687 to win the conference, not the Super Bowl. Right? Plus 687. Look around the league closely. Are you sure Philly is close to bouncing back? Right, folks, there aren't that many elite teams, believe it or not, in the NFC. Right, there aren't. The Giants just traded Saquon Barkley. I'm a Giants fan. I'm not going to hang my hopes on Daniel Jones to somehow win the conference. That's not the way it works. The Commanders now have a new ownership group. Aren't you disturbed that the Lions' defense was a little bit shaky last year? Let's just keep it 100. I'm more enthusiastic about the Green Bay Packers than I am the Detroit Lions. Right? So in that conference, right, where Kirk Cousins is no longer with Minnesota, right, in that conference, I think the Niners are clearly the cream of the crop. If not them in terms of talent, then it has to be the Dallas Cowboys. You're telling me I'm getting a plus 250 on the Niners, and I'm getting a plus 687 on the Cowboys. You heard me mention, too, the Green Bay Packers. I would sprinkle a little on them. You're getting longer odds than that. Let's go to the AFC. Let me just say, the Chiefs have had a great run. And I understand in the playoffs, certain people stepped up. Travis Kelce stepped up, in certain games in the playoffs. But Travis Kelce's numbers were down, folks, for the year. Travis Kelce's age is up, right? He's not getting any younger. You heard me mention their offense was a little below average, and that's hard to pull off when your quarterback is Pat Mahomes. Who's Pat Mahomes going to throw the football to? We're hearing about Rashee Rice, and of course the news is not the kind of news football fans want to hear. It sounds like he has off-the-field problems, or at least legal challenges. Right? I just don't see the great wide receivers that Pat Mahomes is going to be throwing the football. So right here, I'm not going to grab the Chiefs. I'm looking elsewhere. I'm looking at a team they beat. Folks, you heard me. I want a team with above average numbers both offensively and defensively. Now, I look at the AFC North and I see QB uncertainty with the Cleveland Browns. I see QB uncertainty with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right? Who's your quarterback? Is it Russell Wilson? Is it Justin Fields? The one thing we know is it's not Kenny Pickett. He's gone. The QB is going to be new. We also know that Tomlin, as successful a coach as he is really a defensive guy, not an offensive guy. Let me say this too. Cincinnati, you have the highest paid quarterback in the league. How healthy is he? Right? Burrow is going to be coming back from injury. Folks, that's a concern. I like the Baltimore Ravens right now. They look healthy. They, of course, were the 1 seed last year. They have an above-average offense and defense. Last year, that defense looked hellacious. Of course, they have a Super Bowl winning head coach, right? He didn't win the Super Bowl last year, but, of course, he's won the Super Bowl in the past. We're talking about John Harbaugh, right? Look, I'm a Jim Harbaugh guy, but John's the Harbaugh to look at this coming year. You mean to tell me with the Ravens, and I know Lamar has problems in the postseason. I know the coaching staff blew that AFC Championship game. No question about that. But you mean to tell me I'm getting the Ravens at a plus 450? Folks, as tough as the AFC North is, the Ravens are the team with the inside track and continuity. There's no quarterback continuity right now in Pittsburgh. There's uncertainty with another quarterback coming back from injury, Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. It's the Ravens with the healthy quarterback. It's the Ravens with the better statistical numbers than the Cleveland Browns. I know Cleveland scotch-taped it together, had Flacco at quarterback, made the playoffs, great coaching by Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski. Right? We understand all of that statistically. Baltimore was the better team. Right? Let me just say this. There's some other promising teams in the AFC. But wow, are we sure? After losing to Pat Mahomes this time at home in the playoffs, are we sure that the Bills are going to be able to maintain the intensity? Look, I can tell you with a straight face that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks I have ever seen in my life. Right? Aaron can take over games. You know where I sit. Montana's the best I've seen. Right? But there are certain quarterbacks who, when they're right, can literally take a team wherever they want to go. Rodgers is one of them. But understand, Rodgers has had injury problems in the past. Last year, Rodgers, of course, missed all but a smidge of the season. Robert Saleh is a defensive head coach. Right? It's Rodgers and the offensive coordinator who are going to have to get that offense moving. The Jets, of course, were well below average offensively last year. Right? Even though the Jets have some talent, you have to question any team who was that far below average offensively in terms of their chance of winning. Likewise, I have to question a team that was that far below average defensively, as the Miami Dolphins were. Let's be real here. The Patriots carry too much risk. Not only was the team subpar last year, but now you have a new head coach. And look, maybe this new head coach is going to prove to be a great head coach, but he's not a head coach with a Super Bowl as a coach pedigree. Right? Looking around the rest of the league, you know, I'm a Pac-12 guy. I know the Pac-12 has fallen apart in terms of all the defections and things like that. But Justin Herbert's a great quarterback. I was here online talking about how I thought Herbert should have been the first quarterback taken the year he came out. Right? And I'm a Jim Harbaugh guy. Right? I'm in the Bay Area. I remember Harbaugh from the San Francisco 49er days. I remember Harbaugh from the Stanford Cardinal days. Harbaugh, hell, I remember him as a quarterback from the Michigan and the Indianapolis Colts teams. He used to be known as Captain Comeback. Great head coach. This is his first year with the Chargers, and the Chargers, of course, don't really have a home stadium, do they? Speaking of new coaches, isn't that your Las Vegas Raiders? Right? The bottom line is the AFC has a lot of teams that, quite frankly, either have new head coaches or have guys who have given inconsistent performances, or have guys who have overachieved on teams that statistically are not that dominant. Right? I'm a CJ Stroud fan. But the Houston Texans statistically were not dominant last year. There might be some reversion to the mean there. Right? By contrast, the Ravens, and again, the casinos are offering you a plus 450, were statistically dominant last year. That defense really was on a different level. Right? Let's face it too. Trevor Lawrence was the man in college. He has not been the man in the pros. We've all seen Jaguar games where the team looks pedestrian at best. Right? I have problems too with one of my favorite coaches, Mike Vrabel, being pushed out at Tennessee. That tells me that that franchise has a lot of dysfunction. Right? This is almost like a Shaq and Kobe situation. From the outside view, you're thinking, damn it, fellas, can't you just make this work? Don't tell me the personalities are such where we have to let talented people leave the building. That's who Mike Vrabel is. I think it's ridiculous that he's left. Right? So, to me, right now, the only play I'm making in the AFC, and this could change in the months to come, but the only play I'm making right now on April the 3rd is to grab the Baltimore Ravens at a plus 450. Right? We understand some one seeds regress. We understand the Ravens have regressed in the past at times after being a one seed. But I like these odds. You're getting great odds, plus 450 just for the conference, not the Super Bowl, on a team that has an elite defense, has a Super Bowl winning head coach, has the reigning MVP. I'll take my chances. If later Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes are back in the saddle and they're proving the world wrong again, and let's remember, Pat and Andy had to win road games in the playoffs last year. Well, at that point, understand, I'm good as long as there aren't many contenders for the AFC throne. If Kansas City emerges as an alternative to Baltimore, well, great. I've gotten ridiculous leverage on the Baltimore side of the play already. At that point, I can throw extra money on Kansas City. And if the AFC Championship game is KC against Baltimore, then I'm guaranteed a winner. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours. I hope you leave them in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.